Don't you hate it when you have days off and then everything happens and you can't have fun on your days off?
Yeah, I know. I know that sucks.
Yeah. Finally get a good couple days off of work, and what's going to happen? You got to run around getting the tires fixed on the car because of a damn drywall screw.
You should see the size of that drywall screw. It's got to be at least 3-inch drywall screw, and it didn't do things in half measures either. It went through both the face of the tire, on the tread, and then on a diagonal right through the sidewall.
So anyway, that's been our fun between Christmas and New Year's. How about you?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, time to do the show. Welcome to Unearth the Upstate. I'm Maury.
I'm Matthew.
Today we're going to go back kind of downstate. I'm still going to state that this particular town is considered upstate because I get the impression people from New York City consider it upstate. I have a feeling people from upstate, really rural areas, probably consider it more of a downstate location. But if the people in New York City consider this place to be the Hicksville,
oh, I know.
We'll call it upstate. And we're going to be talking about UFOs, too.
Yes.
Okay. So, a few months ago we had that raid on Area 51, which ended up being...
Just a big publicity stunt, turns out.
No, it ended up being... in the one that happened in Las Vegas, yeah. The party in Las Vegas. But then the people actually showed up at Rachel, Nevada and went there.
Well, yeah,
They only arrested a couple people for trespassing, but most people were very, very polite to the military. The military let them come and take pictures at the gate, and it seemed like most people.
Well, they knew what this was. They recognized what this was for what it is, and
I mean, two of my favorite YouTubers.
Kind of played along.
Yeah, two of my favorite YouTubers were there. Adam the Woo went
That's
out
right.
there.
Yes, some of our favorite YouTube creators did find their way down there.
Adam Woo had that very interesting conversation with that guy at the gate.
Yeah.
About everything. And then, of course, Wonder Hussy went out there because she always goes out to parties. So I figured if she can handle Burning Man, she can handle this. She had fun, too. Yeah. The Wonder Hussy. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay. Don't know her by any other name, folks.
Yeah. But I wonder if anybody would come to upstate New York to go to this small town in Orange County, is it? Yes, it's Orange County.
The town of Pine Bush in Orange County, known as the UFO capital of New York State.
Yes, although there are some people who disagree with it, but my argument is, when we get to it, I have a counter argument. It's really funny because we live not that far from Watertown and Fort Drum, and there are quite a few UFO sightings. As I was doing research up here, there is a lot in Fulton, actually, and there are a lot in Baldwinsville. There's a ton coming out of Utica, but I think that's one guy. Anyway, so there are
one guy out
just
there.
One guy reporting these weird UFO sightings.
Nice thing.
Pine Bush has got quite the reputation. So why would this little town, that's also famous for their McDonald's-looking high school, I guess.
Oh yes, about that article.
Yeah.
They were worried that. Because their school colors and their design closely resembled the Golden Arches. They caught a lot of flack from the downstaters about this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they get a lot, and like I said, I guess a lot of downstaters really do consider it like Hicksville there. They really, and I'm like, wow.
Oh, really?
How are they going to handle some place like even Auburn if they think that's Hicksville? And Auburn's not Hicksville either, in my opinion.
How are they going to handle trudging around the woods in Sawyer County?
Oh, Utah, Wisconsin, yeah. Well,
the real woods.
Closest you'd get to that is head up to the Adirondacks, get way north.
Yeah.
Then you get the same.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're dealing with a town that's got some interesting reputations to begin with, but we're going to concentrate on the UFOs. I'm going to read you some reports I got from the National UFO Reporting Center. These were the reports for just Pine Bush in New York. I guess MUFON has a much more in-depth database, but MUFON wants you to pay for everything now, so I'm almost this other one. All right, so in December 2010, there were 2 lights hovering over Pine Bush. The person reported that said that their home was in the center of town. One was slightly than the other, and they hovered and then rose into the sky. Well, that's kind of interesting. Then 2 years later, there was a Y-shaped formation of red lights over 302. That happened on Christmas night. Interesting. A lot of things happen on Christmas night, too. Got a nice long one here. Same date. So we got 2 different reports on the same date. This one is, they were saying it started about 8:15. They were heading west towards Pine Bush. About 5 minutes before they reached Pine Bush, you see a falling star falling from the north. Okay, I'm just paraphrasing this, okay?
Right.
The author slowed down, and they appeared to be really big and glowing. We thought for sure it would crash and catch something on fire, so we waited and saw nothing after it was out of range of view. At 9:30 p.m., my daughter, the person says, my daughter and I were driving through Pine Bush, when they saw 15 dark orange orbs flying in a diagonal pattern across the sky. Now the other one said it was a red Y, and they're saying it was an orange diagonal pattern. So you've probably seen them from 2 different directions. I'll read this part here. We pulled over the side of the road, opened the windows, and heard absolutely no sound coming from them. We dismissed them from being helicopters or other form of aircraft by the way they were almost hovering in the sky, traveling slowly upwards diagonal without any sound being emitted. We were traveling north to south in the staggered pairs of 2 or 3 orbs, almost even space between them. Once they seemed to get a certain height, they began to travel along a horizontal path. We had 2 reports of people seeing pretty much the same thing. August 2013, again this Route 302, this person rounds a bend on a hill and saw the sky 3 widely spaced white lights with flashing red lights underneath. Their first thought was saying, okay, it's an airplane, right? And they didn't immediately pull over, take a look at it. But when they rounded the next bend about 5 seconds later, they had a view of the same patch in the sky and the object was gone. So basically what they're arguing is there's no way it would be a man-made craft that would move that fast. The sky was just beginning to light for dawn, and I could see no discernible fuselage, certainly not a full-size jet, wingspan, or hear any aircraft. Those lights were also far normal below commercial airspace, more in a private and small craft altitude. They do mention the Stewart Air Force Base 20 miles to the east.
Which might be their source of the lights.
Right. But they also mention that they're familiar with those lights going back and forth. So, like I said, I'm paraphrasing these. I don't want to read them verbatim. Okay.
Right, exactly.
April 2014, a rapidly descending craft with large red and white lights entered a residential area. This person saw 5 lights, white small, large red, white small, large red, arranged like they would be on a plane, except they're larger and all in one craft, not separate lights. It was about a mile or less up and descending rapidly. Okay, I have a problem with this description. It's very hard to get a really good distance when you're looking up at the sky. When someone says, oh, I know it's like 500 feet. Well, unless it's up against something that you can really tell, it's
there's
hard.
No common,
it's hard.
There's no frame of reference.
Right.
For size relation.
It could have been 100 feet. It could have been a mile. So I always take that part with a grain of salt.
Which is why sightings that are like straight up in the sky,
right,
with no such relation to be, derived at, so that you get a size relation.
But as they watched the lights, something did happen where they got a good size relation. Okay.
Oh, really?
So it got about a few hundred feet, made a abrupt turn to the right, and disappeared behind a house. This person came to the end of the road, made a left turn, went a few feet, and looked over my right shoulder to see it. It was 100 feet high or less in the backyard of a house. So now they have a house in relation to where it's at. So the first sighting, you take that first part of the sighting, take with a grain of salt. The second part, where they see it in the backyard of someone's house, they can get a better view, which is how high it was. Okay. Also in 2014, this one was in August, 2 glowing oblong shapes traveling formation. Not much more about that one. March 2016, This person thought it was some sort of saucer shape with a black bottom and a bright dome. It skips to August 2019, so there was no reported sightings. There was probably reverse sightings, but there was a bright light 2 to 3 miles away in a rapidly cycling colored lights, seen just above the treetops. Bright flashing light, rapidly changing colors, larger and brighter than a star, and definitely not flashing lights from an airplane, as I did see a normal airplane flying at the same time. That one's kind of interesting. There's one from 2013. This one was reported in Out There with Ted, the name of the website. Yeah, this was reported on February 20th, 2013. This one I'm going to read verbatim. It's kind of cool. UFO sightings over Pine Bush. UFO sightings continue over Pine Bush, New York area. Area resident Carlos Torres reports seeing large silent craft move slowly overhead in the evening of January 4th, 2013. Torres said he was first alerted by his barking dogs at 9 p.m. When he stepped outside his home to investigate, he spotted the UFO. He called his wife to confirm what he was seeing. He attempted to take photographs, but was unsuccessful. He drew an illustration of what he and his wife observed and would like to know if anyone saw the UFO. So that gives you some examples of some UFOs. Now, I gotta say, these are pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, some other recent sightings.
Oh, you found some more?
Yeah, sure. Of course, the UFO sightings logged with MUFON, of course, again.
Yeah.
And National UFO Reporting Center, or NU4s.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these sightings come to us the same year, 2014, same month, May.
Mm-hmm.
One on the 23rd, and you get like 3 more on the 24th, and then another one on the 25th. So they're pretty busy, just within the space of 3 days, all cited by local people in and around the area of Pine Bush. The first one, a resident after thunderstorm glanced up and saw he thought he saw a black sphere hovering just below the clouds. And another day, people were just stargazing on their decks while an unidentified object came into view.
So obviously there's been sightings there.
Oh well, yeah, and there are many schools of thought.
Yeah.
As far as
but we can trace back to why Pine Bush got the reputation to one person, actually. An author named Ellen Crystal, she released a book in 1991 called The Silent Invasion. Now, in this book, she just detailed several close encounters with UFOs. She concentrated in the Pine Bush area of New York. So this kind of put it on place. I'm thinking like with Linda Godfrey and the Beast of Bray Road. There were probably all these stories going around, but it took somebody to collect the stories, put it together, and then all of a sudden people went, oh, so it's not just this random 1 or 2 stories. There are a lot of stories. So I'm thinking, it's like Linda Godfrey and the Beast of Bray Road. She put that cryptid on the map. And I'm thinking it's the same thing here with Ellen Crystal. She writes the book, and now everyone starts realizing, well, there's a lot more going on around Pine Bush than we expected. And
another individual that's interesting, Linda Zimmerman, was a research chemist.
Oh yes,
she authored 30 books
Mm-hmm.
and on the paranormal fiction. Her Ghost Investigator series books and a couple others that have been made into graphic novels. Yeah, she's done somewhat of a study of Pine Bush and the UFO phenomenon surrounding the area.
So that makes it interesting that this is how it became well known as a place of UFO sightings. Now, there's been some interesting things. As you can tell, the reputation started in the 90s. Well, there's been doing a lot of so people started showing up at Pine Bush and started just hanging out along the roads and that, watching for UFOs. I'm picturing that scene from Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where all those people are on the side of the road in their trucks, and that's what they're doing. They're waiting for the UFOs, to go by. But there wasn't just UFOs. In this one particular article, they talk about there were phantom beings reported around the same time, numerous reports of strange and bizarre animals. So suddenly there was a big cryptid flak There's some very interesting theories about that. That sometimes if you start seeing a bunch of cryptids in an area, then all of a sudden you're going to see a bunch of UFOs in the area. Why are they related? So
what is their correlation? What do people who go out of their way, I guess, to
but there were also
look into UFOs and Sasquatch sightings, and some people make this part of their lives. They built a life around cryptids and UFO sightings and abductions, that sort of thing.
That's interesting. There haven't been too many reports of abductions out of Pine Bush, just mainly sightings. I'm sure there's probably one or two. I couldn't find any. I think there's like one mentioned, but but nothing. But there was also at this whole time you had the cryptids exploding in the area. Right. You had UFO sightings going, phantom beings which aren't being looped in with the cryptids. So that makes me think that maybe these were shadow men, or they might have been the aliens. Okay. You also get strange mechanical rumblings. The article I read that from said it was centered kind of in downstate, but it was reported everywhere, and I haven't been able to find any other reports of it other than this one newspaper article. But that does remind me of the stories I heard growing up in upstate Wisconsin, up in the North Woods, about those 3 days that one year. You might have been old enough to kind of remember it, but I was a little girl. I might have even been a baby at the time, where there was that noise that was heard everywhere for like 3 nights in a row. And they tried to say it was cicadas, but it was more mechanical.
Something
than
ridiculous
that.
Like that.
Yeah, but it was very mechanical. I think I heard somebody describe it as it sounded like a John Deere tractor out in the back 40. But it was everywhere. I mean, you'd walk out of your house and it was just everywhere. And you grew up, 13 miles from my house?
As the crow flies.
As the crow flies, yeah.
We're very close.
But it was reported for a good, I'd say 100 square miles around there for those 3 nights, and then it just stopped.
Yeah, it's interesting. If you remember this either, but when I was perhaps 4 years old, there was some reported UFO sightings and some reported strange phenomenon sightings in and around the ranch up there in northwest Wisconsin. They got a lot of the local ranchers and farmers started reporting, unusual sounds, that sort of thing. Unusual things were happening with their livestock, and 1 or 2 sightings of strange objects.
I wonder if that was the same time.
And then they stopped.
Yeah, just stopped. I wonder if that was the same time my dad saw his. He never described it as a ship, though. Yeah. I got to paint the scene for you people. The 1 or 2 family members who are listening to this, you know exactly.
So this was late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah, I don't know the time. So, like I said, my relatives who are listening, go ahead and correct us in the comments on Facebook when this happened. On our porch, you had the front entrance to the porch, and then we had the back entrance, which was just like this huge kind of barn door type swing-out door. But it had this beautiful view of one of our back, like the grove that was behind our house, and then the back fields, and then you could see in the distance more woods and that, but these were miles away, because I remember when there was that big forest fire up by Shell Lake, you could see that forest fire from our house. So, I mean, you could use miles, okay? So this is going way out in the boonies. This is even more in the boonies than Pine Bush is. I'm going to bring this back to Pine Bush, but this is making my point.
This is what happens.
But my dad,
upstate, we wind up talking about ourselves.
But my dad was out. I was after doing chores and that, and he just was standing out, looking out the back porch, enjoying the view. He described it as if it would have been a shooting star. You would have seen the streak, and he saw plenty of them up there. I mean, you could see the Milky Way as plain as day up there.
Yes,
no light pollution.
Yes, zero light pollution on a new moon. Yeah, that is no moon whatsoever. Yes, you could see the belt of the Milky Way up in the hills.
So this is a very clear place, and and we were used to seeing shooting stars. They came across as little streaks, and you'd see them burn out. We would see satellites going overhead. So these things were not uncommon. You'd know what they were growing up. Well, first of all, this light he saw was a lot larger. He described it as it looked like a mini sun,
Yeah.
and it went straight across the sky, and then just disappeared from his field of view.
Yeah.
He never said it was UFO. I think I think he would have accepted the fireball theory more, that it might have been a meteor closer by, but then where did it end up? And there was no reports of it.
Weird.
So I think that was about the same time that, the ranchers were out there with their guns, because they were afraid that
I don't know.
people were telling that story.
Don't put that image in people's heads in podcast land about hills folk in northwest Wisconsin.
People up in northwest Wisconsin were telling me they were out there. But you know how people embellished the stories, too.
Of course.
They probably just saw the lights and, and then...
I didn't hear of anybody who went after a glowing light with
no, they didn't go after it, but they said they stood out there waiting for them with their guns. But,
Oh, boy. Regular War of the Worlds going on.
Well, yeah, people like to brag. But to bring us back to Pine Bush.
Let's circle it back to Pine Bush, shall we?
But there was a flap right up there, and this is northwestern Wisconsin. What? Birchwood's got, 300 people? My nearest neighbors were a half a mile away. You're 13 miles as a crow flies, but, it's not a densely populated area up there.
No.
And Pine Bush itself is not densely populated. It is, as of the 2010 census, there's only 1,700 people live there. Some people argue that Pine Bush should not be the UFO capital of New York, because even though it does have a lot of sightings, it doesn't have as many sightings as New York City. Well, excuse me? You're comparing 1,700 people to how many million live in New York City? Of course there's going to be more sightings in New York City.
Have that statistic in front of us.
There's going to be more sightings in New York City. There's going to be more sightings in the Bronx and all that, because there's more people there.
Yeah.
But if you did it per capita, I wonder if Pine Bush would still win. Even if you included all of Orange County, I'm wondering if it would still win. Because part of the advantage Pine Bush has over the larger cities is the advantage we had up in northwest Wisconsin. There's not a lot of light pollution there. There's more now. There's been less UFO sightings now because there's been a lot of development there, and that's kind of taken away the fun of going out and watching for UFOs, because they now have made it illegal to do such thing.
Made it illegal
to watch for UFOs. Yes.
Watch for unidentified flying objects.
Yes, or at least parking on the side of the road.
Huh.
Yes.
And where is this again?
This is Pine Bush.
That's where they made it illegal to look for UFOs?
Well, what it is exactly is, I'm going to read this from this one article here. In more recent years, although the sightings certainly haven't ceased, nor have the tales of strange activity in Pine Bush, being able to watch and record them has. Watching for UFOs, or sky watching, as per the Orange County term, was banned in the early 2000s. This is partly due to the increase in urbanization in the area, and the wide open spaces that once allowed anyone to wish to go there are increasingly subject to private property and trespassing signs. So we get this big uptake in UFOs, and then it gets really popular, and basically can't go watching you can't go watch UFOs. So why is Pine Bush still so popular of a place to go watch UFOs? We talked about a few times about if you got a bed and breakfast, you got to have a good ghost story.
Exactly. Well, here we come to the segment where we talk about the economic implications of what the locals are doing to draw dollars into their community. And so, yes.
So there is a UFO festival every year in Pine Bush. I want to go this year. And a parade. And a cosplay. And they do bring some speakers there. I was looking at last year's speakers.
They have a couple seminars about people who claim to have been, abductees.
Well, last year they covered everything from Bigfoot to UFO sightings to historical UFO sightings. So I think if you're interested in any of that...
I think if you're interested in cryptids in general, Pine Bush and its annual festival would be a nice place to show up.
Except Bigfoot, because go up north and we will cover this. Whitehall has Bigfoot covered.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah,
but
so,
if you're just generally interested in the aliens, the idea of extraterrestrials visiting Earth,
Yep.
Sasquatch, skunk ape, Jeffrey, whoever. Yeah. Show up at the Pine Bush Festival, their annual festival, parade, and take in one of the seminars, on the subject. You might be pleasantly surprised.
Now, in 2012, I found this article from 2012 where they actually interviewed people about the Pine Bush Festival, and it really did save the town. There were businesses leaving like crazy. It was really going into a bad economic downturn, and like the one woman explains here is like the first year they had 30 businesses participating in the festival. The next year there were 40, and this year we've risen past 50. And the woman quips, I didn't even think there were 50 businesses in Pine Bush.
Oh, man. So, after the recession, it was...
yes, yeah.
Touch and go, I guess.
It really helped save this town of them embracing this reputation of being a UFO hotspot. Once a year, they throw together this little party. It's about a one-day, maybe a two-day event now, I think. And it's definitely a one-day. There's like you said, there's parade, there's costume contests, there's guest speakers for people to take it a little more seriously, and it's just a fun little festival. Other places have embraced this.
Darth Vader and his honor guard.
Yeah. Other places have embraced this. I gotta get down to Point Pleasant one of these days, the Mothman Festival. There's another place that's embraced it and really like, hey, we gotta accept this is something our town's known for. Why don't we share it? And, collect the sweet tourist bucks while we're at it,
Why not?
I mean, Pine Bush is pretty close to the Catskills if it's not technically in the Catskills. I don't know if they consider themselves in the Catskills. Gotta be worth stopping by just to swing by.
It's gotta be worth a look.
A look, I would never even thought of going to Pine Bush if somebody hadn't told me, like, yeah, they see a lot of UFOs there. Really? Okay, I gotta check this town out. Well, like the other day, there was that other town, East Aurora. I'm sitting there looking at East Aurora. I don't know how I got on looking at probably something for our podcast. Oh, the headquarters of Fisher-Price are there? Oh, I gotta go.
Oh, yeah. Fisher-Price town is.
It's weird how little things like that will make you connect with a town you may have no other interest in.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you want a description of where Pine Bush is for the people who live outside of New York, I'm just going to look it up real quick.
Okay, but while you're doing that, let's explore some of the schools of thought that, according to some people who study UFOs, are divided upon. And there are three primary groups when it comes to their explanations. Now, the first one are those who believe firmly that the phenomenon involved alien beings from other star systems. Now, the second one is one that feel that the whole thing's the fact of the human mind, perhaps summoning a deep ancestral memory, that sort of thing. That it's some kind of collective hallucination, maybe. And then there's the third one, and growing faction, thinks that the crafts and assorted phenomena are the result of time travel, or travel to and from a different universe that coexists with ours within a multiverse. You see, cosmological theories increasingly press the idea that the universe we see, with 200 billion galaxies, is but one universe in a much vaster entity encompassing millions or billions of other universes with varying physical laws, sizes, and a dimensional foundation.
Okay, I can already give you two schools of thought that are in with that. One is UFOs are biological entities. They're not even mechanical.
Oh, yes.
Okay. And another school of thought is that they're all experimental aircraft.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that...
So we can argue there's a lot more school of thoughts. Are some of these misinterpreted? Well, I gotta say, for the National UFO Reporting Center, what I was impressed with, I'm going through their database, if they knew it could have been a satellite, they put it down in the notes. Possibly satellite, or safe-link satellite. If they thought it could have been a misidentification, they would put it in the notes. If it was a hoax, or they thought it was going to be a hoax. I must pause here. I just saw Lloyd close the door. He's a silly boy. He actually got up on a table outside, grabbed his paw, around the handle and pulled the door closed. You are a smart Siamese. You really are. Okay. Enough praise of producer Lloyd. Go back to what I was saying. What was I saying, Lloyd? Before you impressed me with your ability to handle a handle that was made for opposable thumbs and you don't have any?
I got a riddle for you. What it is that you have, when you have it, you want to share it. But if you share it, you haven't got it. It's a secret.
Okay, I want to give people an impression of where Pine Bush is. Now, I don't consider this to be out in the boonies, because really not that far from 87 or 84. But you are in a wooded area, but surrounded by a lot of other towns. I mean, you're surrounded by Montgomery, Scotchtown, New Platts, Orange Lake, and that one I'm going to mispronounce so badly. Shugum.
Oh, yes. That was one of the names for Pine Bush before it became Pine Bush.
Well, but that name is still being used around there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If you
it's going by a few other names too.
See, right there. There it is, Shugum. Yeah, okay, in case you're wondering why I think I mispronounced it, because it looks like Shawanagunk. But I know that's not how you pronounce it. Okay. So my apologies to anyone who lives there. I really tried to pronounce it correctly. Because I know Shawanagunk is not how you pronounce it.
No.
Again, going back to northwest Wisconsin, I grew up very close to...
Shagwamagan?
You can tell that story too later.
The Nemekagan?
I grew up...
All real names, by the way.
Yes, they are. But the one that I remember is we grew up near LCO. We always called it LCO, a Coterelles.
Or Le Coudray.
Or Le Coudray, but we accept that. But a lot of people who didn't realize it was French would look at the thing and go, La Court O'Reilly's?
What was that? La Court O'Reilly's?
La Court O'Reilly's?
La Court O'Reilly's? Oh, was this once a Spanish mention?
So I totally understand. That's what I'm trying to say. I totally understand when you have a very unique name. Trying to get people to pronounce it correctly can be a little hard. And yes, the Shawamagan one. Thank you, Starman, for mispronouncing the biggest national forest in Wisconsin.
Shagamagwayan. Oh man, it was like nails on a chalkboard.
Oh my God, it was. It's Shawamagan, folks. So next time you watch Starman and you hear the term I can't even say it.
However they said it.
It's Shawamagan. All right, back to the UFOs. So the Pine Bush embraces the UFOs.
Yes.
It allows people to come in to see it, although they banned you pretty much from watching for them.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, there's a business idea. If you live out there, you tell people, hey, I'll rent you out an easy chair on my front lawn and go watch it. Anyway.
Yeah. Haunted UFO houses and bed and breakfasts all the way around.
Yeah. But I just love the fact how they embraced it, accepted it, and then now have turned it into a way to save their town. I would never even thought of visiting there, and I want to go see it. I want to go to the UFO Festival. I want to go to the White House Bigfoot Festival, and hopefully this year I find out before it happens.
Well, they've got the best dressed aliens, costume contests. Mm-hmm. They've also got tarot card readers, everything from that to psychics to, like I said before, people who want to relate their experiences. So.
But it's something for everybody. Like I said, they got the serious part for people who take it seriously. They got the more tongue-in-cheek part for people who don't take it that seriously.
Well, yeah.
But the point of it is...
somewhere there's a in between.
They're embracing this. They're enjoying it. They're making something fun out of it. And it's bringing people into the area.
And what made this specific spot so particular? What made it a focus for all these sightings?
My theory is I don't think it's any busier than any of the other sites. It's just you've had those two researchers who published books about it. And that kind of brings your attention to the area. And look, I went to that reporting database, and how many were I finding from Syracuse that were very good, intriguing ones? Mm-hmm. And from Baldwinsville. I mean, I could come up with the, I don't know what you call it, the Auburn, Syracuse, Oswego Triangle. You know, and I could publish a book on that, and
there's
see
all sorts of experts who added study of the UFO phenomenon around Pine Bush to their resumes, and there's more than just one author to look at in regard to just the body of work that's been created on the subject, just in and around Flatbush.
But like I said, I could, if I wanted to, I could write a book about the Oswego, Auburn, Syracuse Triangle. Just arbitrarily pick those 3 towns, and write about all the ghost stories in that area, and the UFO sightings in the area, and the cryptid sightings in the area, and possibly put us more on the map because of it, if it caught the public imagination. That's all it takes, is somebody just going, hey, look at this. And especially now in the internet age, it's probably easier. Well, that was a little bit about Pine Bush.
Yeah.
And how they embraced, decided instead of going, oh God, we don't want to be known for the UFO town, instead embraced it. And I think they owned it. They own it.
Absolutely.
Like I said, there's a big difference between buying a house, turning into a bed and breakfast that's got a bit of a backstory, and using that to your advantage to...
It's a bit like a ghost selling t-shirts.
Yeah. But in this case, the ones that don't work are the ones who make up the stories when they have no background.
Alien selling keychains.
Yeah. But these guys, people see stuff there all the time. Could they be misidentifications? Well, some of those are kind of plausible reports to me, because you had people like the one had an airplane fly in the area at the time.
I think the more air traffic you have in any given geographical location, the greater the air traffic is going to be, the more you're going to notice it, the more these sightings are going to occur. That's my rationale. Yeah.
And I've been fooled by airplanes, too. I thought I saw a UFO once, and I even chased it with the car for a good 20 minutes until it turned and went, oh, God, it's an airplane. So, yeah, daylight sightings, there are clouds. Some people think that's what, what's-his-face saw. The guy who's citing the term flying saucer. Oh, what was his name? He was a pilot. He said they look like saucers skipping over, and there's this type of cloud that looks kind of like a cone on one end, and it's flat on the other. So now people think that was what he saw. Yeah, maybe it's a meteor, maybe it's a satellite. The running gag when I was taking astronomy in college was, yep, that's a Russian satellite. Yeah. Because it's rushing across the sky.
Oh boy.
But then there's, just like with Bigfoot, there's that handful. You gotta go, doesn't make sense. Not all the possible explanations make sense. They don't fit. So I guess, when it comes to UFOs, I'm gonna say they're possible. I don't think the possibility of aliens, I'm more leaning towards it, probably more like experimental aircraft before the alien, simply because I do think there's life in outer space. Okay, yes, I do think there's other life in outer space. Whether they're advanced enough to do that type of flight, whether all of them are humanoid that come here, which kind of goes against some evolution, because why would they all be humanoid? Star Trek had to come up with that really strange explanation to explain why all the aliens were humanoid, Yeah. Because why couldn't they be cats? Why couldn't we be visited by cats coming, Yeah. I tell you why, because nowadays, and with the way the internet is, cat aliens show up, everybody be like, ooh, kitties! Unless they look like the ones from the movie Cats.
Maybe. Oh, let's not go there.
Let's not go there.
Okay.
We'll go talk about The Witcher before we're done.
Hey, we're not getting paid to review any of this stuff, so let's leave it off the table.
All right, I think we're done. We're starting to go off on these weird
I'd like to run through my favorite types of craft.
Okay, sure.
Interesting. Sure. The cigar-shaped one is intriguing, of course.
Is that the one you're saying that's most likely could be biological?
Yeah. And you suggested that as well. And of course, there's the saucers, and the chevrons are very interesting too.
Chevrons scared me when I first found out about them. I don't know why. I scared the daylights out of me. But those are also most likely, I think, in my opinion, are most likely experimental. Because boy, that stealth bomber was released to the public.
Oh,
I was like,
yes.
that's a frickin'
Yeah. or drone, or experimental drones.
Well, see, now it's
doing all sorts of things with aircraft these days.
Why I was so glad I found older ones. Because nowadays it'd be just saying, oh, that's a drone. Somebody was out flying a drone. Not in 2000. Not in 91. Drones are just finally getting to the point where like everybody can pretty much afford one.
Yeah.
And whether you have the skill to fly one is another story.
Well, they're becoming more idiot-proof with every variant that comes out.
And you do have to register them with the FAA if they do fly a certain point, up a certain point. So.
Not that mini one, but.
No, not the mini one, because that's never going to get high enough. But the nice big-sized drones. Yeah, there's a lot of rules and regulations with them. So somebody who just says, oh, it was a drone. Okay, let's say you're at a national park, and someone says, oh, you just saw a drone. Well, whoever's flying that drone's in bigger trouble than I am. Because they just flew over federal land, and that's a big no-no.
Yeah.
So, that's the other thing to consider is like, yeah, that's the easy way to explain UFOs now, but drones don't explain them all. No. Not
at all. Except, especially when you've got the really quickly moving, really beyond supersonic type of movement that you get from some of these craft, in which that if they moved in that way with a pilot in them, as we understand a pilot, that their innards would be scrambled.
Well, it's not to say those ships might not be drones, just might not be our drones.
So, we are talking about UFOs, after all.
I'll go back to what I was saying about the aliens. I just think it's going to be very rare that it would be humanoid-looking aliens piloting these ships.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why we do have such sighting of cryptids around these. Who knows? Maybe they all look like the Flatwood Monster.
Perhaps it's the case this altering a species altering its original biological arrangement in order to withstand the rigors.
Like the pilots in Dune.
Yes. Withstand the rigors of space travel, using certain types of technology that will move them along at a faster pace so that they can get to a location and then back to their original location more or less in real time. Going across billions of light years to get to a location. I just don't think that a species that is able to do that and go through all the rigors of that sort of journey is going to be interested in destroying us or even even encountering us, but
there is a theory
just studying our planet out of curiosity.
There's a theory we're just a rest stop on the way. So all right, well, my computer almost shut down, so it's time to shut us down.
Alrighty.
All right.
I think we've done well on this one already.
Yes.
There's a large body of work. My goodness, how many pages did we come up with?
I had like 37 pages of research.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's another one. So some of these articles, I'm sorry I didn't give credit where credit's due.
A large body of work out there about the sightings in Pine Bush in Orange County, New York.
All right.
So if you're interested, go on and look it up.
We always put our sources on the website, my Tumblr blog, and I think that's it. Website and Tumblr blog.
Yes, and we like to also thank our listeners.
Thank you again. Like I said, we've got Tumblr, we got a Patreon.
Podbean. We're
on Facebook. We could be a little more active on Facebook, but so thank you for listening to that on Unearthly Upstate.
Yes, thank you for listening for our ghastly podcast.
And have a happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you for listening to Unearthly Upstate. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Patreon, and on our webpage. We are also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Stitcher, Podbean, Google Podcasts, and CastBox. Please like, share, and review on your favorite platform. Unearthly Upstate is an Animator Liar production. The show is produced by Mari and Matt Manette, with purring provided by Honey and Lloyd. Research and writing by Mari Manette. Music is by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Unless otherwise stated in the episode, the places mentioned in the broadcast are not paid or contact us for any type of promotion. Please check out our webpage for credit and sources for the episode. Thank you.